It's a Fireside Chat, y'all.
Welcome back to another Fireside Chat, where we bring casual technology conversations to you. With us, we got Dominic Zinni, joined us on our first video, and we are talking ICE, and not vanilla ICE. We're talking Identity Services Engine.
That's right, man. Great to be back in LP studio.
Yeah.
Good to talk ICE with you.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite topics these days.
Very passionate. You've been writing all these blogs about it. It's been great.
Yeah. Just trying to help our customers navigate through, some of the seemingly complex topics or use cases that ICE brings to the table.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, hit me with it. Why do people why would they consider ICE?
A number of reasons people would want ICE. ICE isn't just one thing, right? A customer can't come to you and say, hey, I want ICE, and I can't interpret that and know what they need, right? So there's use cases involved in ICE. So guest authentication, I want to provide a central web authentication portal for guests to securely come onto my network. Or I want to only allow corporate devices on my network. Or I want to allow my employees to bring in their own personal devices and have some gray area of access to the internal network.
So not quite guest, not quite corporate, some kind of blend.
Yeah. Maybe they get access to some printing resources internally, and then internet only. Anywhere in between. So really, that's the first question, or first topic of the conversation that we have when a customer's interested in ICE is, for what use case are they interested in? Yeah.
Cool. So lots of use cases. So if I did said, hey, I want corporate access, I want to control some guests, it seems like we hear a lot around wired ports. So if somebody walks into a conference room, they plug in, what do they get? What happens? So what are some of the things you've done to help with that?
Well, I think the base use case for ICE is 802.1x authentication. And that's what you're referring to when I can differentiate one device versus another when it plugs into the network.
Right.
So it's something that a lot of companies are just now realizing that, my entire network is wide open. Anybody can walk in here and connect anything in and get access to all of my application servers, all of my secure data. Where, on the wireless side, we've been protecting it with 802.1x for years, and that's something that's common practice. But it's just now, that light bulb is just now coming on in everybody's head that I need to be doing the same thing on the wired side. Right. So the base use case that we see in 90% of our customers is protecting those wired ports with a mechanism like 802.1x authentication.
Got it. So that's where it starts, and then ICE adds the elements of policy. So, what are some of the common policies that we see with ICE?
Yeah. So, like you said, 802.1x is kind of that base case, and I always talk to my customers and tell them, let's start with that, right? So let's not go into a project and try to do everything at once, because it is a complex feature set if you look at everything at the same time. But getting the base layer laid down with 802.1x authentication allows you to slowly add those use cases on top of it, right? Some things that you can do are differentiate corporate devices versus personal devices. You can allow your employees to bring their own personal devices to the network, but based on the way they authenticate, based on an inspection of the device, you can determine whether or not it's a corporate-owned asset, corporate-managed, and therefore warrants a higher level of trust onto the network, so you can allow that to internal network resources, or it's not, and you can say internet only for you. You're not denying service, you're giving your employees flexibility to, work the way they want to work while protecting your assets.
Okay, great. Yeah. And so really, .1x is a starting point. Build some policy on it, and like you said, just implementing 802.1x can be a lift for some customers, probably because certificates and all those things, and then so kind of crawl, walk, run, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So if I've heard this and I'm listening to this video, watching this show, and I'm thinking, man, I really want to deploy ICE, what would be some of the steps that you would tell a customer, like as they're looking at it, what would be some of the first things they'd look at?
Yeah, good question. So I think the first thing that a company should do is understand what business policy is to them, right? So ICE is going to enact at a technical level your business security policy for network access, right? So defining things like, are we going to support BYOD devices on the network? Do we want to provide guest access to people on our wired network?
Right.
Those things that aren't really technical, right? They're a matter of business policy.
Right.
It really helps us get off the ground running with an ICE deployment when those types of decisions are already fleshed out.
Okay.
And often we'll work with a customer to try to figure those things out on the fly. But a customer should have time to think about those sort of decisions regardless of what technology they use to implement them.
Okay.
So this is something they can get started on right now. It may be something they already have, but if you don't, that's a good place to start.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So just to sum it up, ICE, if you're looking at ICE, start with 802.1x, get the foundation in place. Ideally, before you even start there, establish a policy, the security policies drive the decisions that you're going to make with ICE. 802.1x, then some more advanced policies as you go and get comfortable with it, your teams get comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
Good to be here.
All right. So you heard it, ICE, 802.1x, crawl, walk, run. If there's a video you want us to do, make sure you hit us up, let us know. And as always, you can email us at firesidechat@lookingpoint.com. Thanks for watching. See you later.